The golden boy with avoidant attachment and the parentified girl with reactive attachment are like a quarter of the couples I see in therapy. The golden and parentified are both two people who are born wired to anxiously please. One to perform and go passive during stress, and one to caretake and manage the environment during stress. And two people who didn't have attunement in childhood, so no one noticed their anxiety response at best, or the environment actively reinforced and encouraged it at worst. When these two meet and start dating, sparks fly. The golden boy has served to assuage his family's distress and insecurities by always being golden and passive and achieving and rule following, so he has been trained to be calm and pleasant and alert and not talk back or disagree, just to listen with a smile on his face. So for the parentified girl, the girl who's been a lighthouse for her whole life, a solitary beacon focused on guiding all the chaos around her while the ships just pass her by, this golden guy is incredible. She is so impressed when he listens to her and remembers that she wanted to try the new Mexican restaurant, but she doesn't like hot salsa, so he orders the mild. She needs someone to stop and see her for once, and he's been training his whole life for this role. He just smiles and smooths over any awkwardness with jokes and loves everything she says and never disagrees, and even fixed the tire on her car without her even asking. She doesn't know those are his conditioned anxiety reactions. She just knows it sure feels good to be around him. And from his perspective, well, he's not quite sure what he wants, or he wouldn't be able to describe it, to be honest. But he knows it's not exactly attention, more like the feeling of someone enjoying him, maybe? Someone peaceful and not too negative or too much drama, he might say. Where has this magnificent beacon of light been my whole life, he thinks. She's a lighthouse, the definition of stable. She doesn't go ballistic when the Uber is 30 minutes late in the rain. She just gets out her umbrella and squeezes his hand. He doesn't know those are her anxiety reactions. He just knows it sure feels good to be around her. These two often get married, so deeply made for each other they are. I'm serious, they are. As their relationship continues, though, and stresses accumulate, they do both, frankly, start wanting more from one another. There's just something discontent. Words and emotions have hurt and confused the golden boy so much, and he has only survived by his achievements and by being a good boy. So it kills him if she criticizes his efforts. Her commenting that he never takes the dog for a walk is not felt as a casual annoyance. It feels like a threat to his very being, as her outing him as bad. He's also survived by dissociating from his needs and feelings, by being completely emotionally detached and passive. So it's safest to live and to love through his body. It kills him if they don't have sex, and he only feels safe if they do. Caretaking actions have hurt and confused her, and maybe even jumbled up with resentment her whole life. She had to listen to mom complain about dad or hurry up and clean if dad was in a bad mood, and she survived by her rich inner world alone. She lives and loves through her feelings and thoughts. It kills her if he's dismissive or doesn't get curious. She doesn't feel it as minorly annoying when he answers K at the end of her long text. It just confirms her feelings of invisibility. They will talk about dishes and sex and layer on defensive strategies that get them nowhere. The more he's destroyed by her criticism, the more he defends himself by explaining and dismissing, and even sometimes shutting down. So the more she is destroyed by his confirming her lighthouse does stand alone. They might go for years without talking about what really pains them, that they both deeply and desperately need to develop into present full versions of themselves in a way they never got to in childhood. So when the parentified wives predictively message me on TikTok, what can I do for my golden boy husband? They're caretakers after all. I say they need the same as what you need, a redo with prescripted developmental experiences that allow humans to form solid identities and form comfortable attachment instead of anxiety responses. People develop their senses of self and senses of inner safety by having their inner worlds reflected back to them from attuned caregivers and other people, starting in infancy. When mothers reliably go toward their infants, they show delight in their faces, and the infants receive the message, enjoyable is being reflected back to me as maybe me. When they're consistently fed when they're hungry, or moved out of the sun when they whine, or changed out of their wet diaper or whatever, they get the memo. Other people are reliable sources of safety. Then in the toddler preschool stage, kids start experimenting with the extent and the limits of their control over things, and even over their peers and other people. Establishing this comfort with being self in the world requires an attuned adult who can tolerate all the experimentation without over control, and can give redirection and guidance with acceptance. Part of that is reflecting to the child what they notice the child prefers and feels without any judgment, while staying available during distress. I know you were so disappointed that they were out of your favorite ice cream. You can use your words instead of screaming at me. Mommy's listening. Young children who have their feelings labeled and accepted develop clarity and safety with the spectrum of their internal human experiences. Since golden and parentified kids don't get any of this reflected back to them, start it now with yourself and your partner. Start with the attunement mindset. That is, accept and observe, not control and judge. It's, I've noticed you haven't been walking the dog after work like you used to do. Not, you should be walking the dog more. I do everything around here. Golden boys are regulated with appreciation and safe physical touch, but they are healed with being enjoyed and permission to be imperfect. Snapping the towel at their butt in a silly way and promising to never slap them again if they don't pick up their towel will take down their defensive guard in so many ways. That's saying to them, you don't have to be perfect. I see the human in you. You aren't a pet. You are a person. I can have a need and love you at the same time. Benefit of the doubt does the same, like saying, I know you were in a hurry and you forgot. I know you're stressed. You didn't mean to X, Y, and Z. The best healing phrases for the parentified wives are straight up validation and open curiosity. It's understandable that you feel overwhelmed. I can see how you were feeling not considered when I left my towel on the floor. Or my favorite, tell me more about that. I'm listening. Parentified children are regulated by acts of service maybe, but they are healed by emotional awareness. Validation and curiosity says to her, I'm stopping my boat right here to be with you, even if some of these waves toss me around. I'm here with you. I won't let you be in the storm alone. You don't have to be the lighthouse. And the last identity building developmental experience that needs a redo in the context of your adult relationship is accepting differing perspectives and emotions without restricting or managing them. Attuned parents stay open and offer guidance instead of control. Like, if you stay up all night at the sleepover, you won't feel so hot for our ski outing tomorrow. I suggest you consider that tonight. Giving space to feel icky feelings without catastrophizing is one of the critical attunement milestones that needs to be revisited in adulthood for both the parentified and the golden child. I call this send it energy, and it doesn't happen often in anxious or dysregulated family systems. This might be something as small as assuring the grown-up golden boy that it's okay to take off a day of work, even though it feels like a mortal sin, or even validating the parentified wife that it feels terrifying to put money into her new business, but tolerating this uncertainty is possible. Both need the message that they didn't get in childhood. Stuff might go south, but it's not the end of the world, and I'll be right here with you if it does.